What's the single most important document in your VA claim process? It's called the Nexus Letter. We're going to go into detail about what comprises the anatomy of a perfect Nexus Letter. And I need you to stay till the end because we've got a golden nugget that'll make this whole video worth it for you. So what is a Nexus Letter and what is its role in VA claims? Truth be told, there is no definition within the VA, either legally or within SOP, of a Nexus Letter. It's a colloquialism. It's a commonly referred to thing. So what is a nexus? Well, by definition, it is a connection between one or more things. What is it connecting? Well, it's connecting the injury or disability, whatever it is that you're trying to claim, to an already service-connected condition or to something that happened in service or an exposure, for example. So let's dig into this even further. Nexus letters are most needed when you have ambiguous connection to service. So what do I mean? Well, let's say that you've got a lower back injury, but you didn't have back pain in service. You never went to the doctor for back pain in service. And so therefore, in the VA's mind, you have no service connection of your current back injury that's going on. Say it's a herniated disc. You have no connection of that herniated disc to in-service injury. So how do we prove? What do we use to bridge that gap? Well, that gap is the connection. That's the nexus. Why is it important that you connect the dots for the VA? Why is the Nexus Letter important in the first place? Because the VA raters aren't doctors. Most of them aren't veterans. And most of them, they're not going to go through the effort of researching any of these things to tie your claim together for you. They're going to look at what's presented, and if it doesn't connect the dot, tough luck. Over 30,000 claims are filed every single week. It's not that these raters are bad people or that they don't care. As much as people want to blame the VA for everything, the truth be told is we as veterans have been misguided on how to best package our claims and how to actually achieve the outcome that we desire. You want to create something that's irrefutable for the VA to look at, that is super easy for them to connect the dots with. How do we bridge it? We bridge it using documentation, medical etiology, and logic. So there's going to be core ingredients to each and every single Nexus Letter, no matter what you're claiming and what you're tying it to. These core ingredients are, of course, going to be your core data, right? Name, last name, social, whatever, VA file number if you want, if it's different than your social. Right? So all your core data needs to be on this Nexus Letter. The next thing is going to be a clear outline of what you're claiming. So imagine we're making a bulleted list, and I'll show a document here as an example. Let's say number one, the first thing we're claiming is a herniated disc connected to parachute landing falls. You were a paratrooper, you never had back injuries in service, but now you're trying to prove to the VA that those PLFs, those impacts with the ground, herniated your disc or hurt your back and led to that from service. So that's what we're claiming. Herniated discs secondary to 38 airborne jumps. The next thing you're going to go to is medical etiology. So let's talk science for a minute. You can Google how hard and how fast you hit the ground when you're jumping with a T10 Delta or a T11. So you can say, I was hitting the ground at 32 miles an hour times 32. And some of these jumps were combat equipment where I had a giant rucksack, and sometimes it didn't come off of me, sometimes it did. That kind of impact, no shit, it's going to hurt my back, right? That's your medical etiology line. Then you're going to talk about logic. In the shoot shed, I was wearing this pack, I was injured, we were still running, we were doing all this physical training, and the culture around me was that if I went to sick call, I was going to get hazed or bullied. So that's your logic area. And finally, citations. Because even though you just made all the sense in the world to the VA, you want something that the VA can't argue with. Now, I can tell you for a fact that if you find a peer-reviewed, and it is very important that it's peer-reviewed, medical journal that links condition you're trying to claim to condition you have, cite that shit, and there you go. Use APA format. Those 5 things are the key ingredients to your perfect Nexus Letter. Let's dig in a little bit further. So I gave you an example of how I would tie this to something that was in service. But what a lot of Nexus Letters come into handy for is when you have to tie them to an exposure. Hey, you know what? I never had these weird cysts, but then after I deployed and I had my permethrin dipped uniforms to prevent malaria and so forth, you know, sweating in that, or the flame retardant ACUs. A lot of people have skin issues following those. It's one of the most common things we hear about. How do you connect this, right? Well, the Nexus Letter is your magical gateway, if you will, to connect your current disability to service. The more you leverage this and the better you get at it, the more successful you're going to be. The next critical piece of this is talking about the most common pitfalls and failures that veterans have. Lack of clarity in a certain opinion is the #1 reason. You can't cite a medical journal and like quote something from it, and it's out of context and it's super generalist and it's not directly tying these things. Remember, if it's not connecting dot A to dot B for you, it's not helping you with the VA rater. The next thing is failing to link the condition directly to the veteran service. If you fail to connect it to an exposure or to an already service-connected disability or to an in-service event, and you just say, hey, this this exists because at some point in the service this happened. You have to get specific with this, and you have to be very clear on how you're linking it. If you're catching a pattern here, it's that clarity, not ambiguity, is the way to win the day. A weak rationale or no rationale at all. Remember, you need your medical etiology and you need your logic. If those are weak, it's not going to take you anywhere. You might have to take some time, you might have to do some research. If you don't want to, you can go to vetclaims.ai where we're experts at that. But that is what you need to do to get this driven home. Finally, what we need to talk about is a lack of supporting medical evidence. You can have the world's best Nexus letter. It doesn't matter if you don't have a current diagnosis. If you were just pissing into the wind hoping, hey, I'm going to tell them I got sleep apnea and I'm going to tell them it's because of this, they might believe you it's because of that. But they're still going to deny you because you've got a lack of current diagnosis. Creating a Nexus letter is, as I said, one of the most important and critical parts of getting your VA claim approved. That goes to say that you still need the rest of the claim process, right? Whether it's a new claim or a supplemental claim, you need to ensure that that 526 or that 995 form is filled out correctly and with good detail. For example, if you write a Nexus letter that's saying sleep apnea is secondary to PTSD and you've got all the backing information, you did everything, you had all 5 blocks in there, you're doing great. But then on the 526, you just put sleep apnea. You didn't put it secondary to anything. You didn't put any details. Nothing corroborates with what you put in the Nexus letter. If you have a 526 or 995 and a golden Nexus letter, it's not going to matter. Understand that the perfect Nexus letter is only as good as the weakest link. And if that weakest link is the 526 and the 995, you're wasting your time. So now that you understand that the whole claim is only as strong as its weakest link, how do we make stronger links? Well, let's look into getting buddy letters, witness statements, anything you have from service. If you were claiming a TBI and you have a Polaroid picture of your truck that's blown up, use it. There's no such thing as too much evidence when it comes to the VA. You don't want to inundate them if you don't need to, but if you've got multiple forms of proof backing what happened, yeah, submit that shit. Now, for those of you who watched this video all the way to this point, I've got a golden nugget just for you. The 38 CFR that I mentioned earlier in this, it needs to tie directly into the Nexus letter. The symptoms in your Nexus letter need to align with what's in the 38 CFR schedule of ratings to support your rating. If you describe symptoms A through C, but really the schedule of ratings is running off of symptoms that are Y through Z, you're leaving it up to the VA to decide. You're not arguing, you're not contending for a certain rating. You're saying, hey, my shit's bad. Hope you give me a good rating. Which, what the hell is the point of doing this whole thing? This golden nugget is critical, and you need to look up the schedule ratings and make sure that your symptoms that you're describing are, 1, true and factual to yourself, but 2, that they align and fall within what the VA is looking for when it comes to how they rate that disability. That is the key. So let's recap really quickly. It's got the 5 core components. It needs to be as strong as the 526 and the 995 that you're filing it in conjunction with, because if you're not, you're just pissing into the wind and wasting your time. Most importantly, it needs to align with 38 CFR. If the symptoms you're describing, if the Nexus letter that you've written is not supportive of what's going on and how the VA evaluates these disabilities, you're connecting all the dots, sure, but you're leaving the rating decision up to them and up to their discretion. You don't want to do that. You want to remove as much doubt as possible. I hope this video helps you get the rating you deserve. And more importantly, I hope you as a veteran are living the life that you deserve. Please like, subscribe, share, comment below what videos you want me to make next. And if you want the rating that you deserve, just go to vetclaims.ai.